South Texas Amateur Tour Podcast, The Power Hour, with your hosts, Travis Silkowski, Michael Emanuelian, Casey Graham, Jason Bird, and Brad Gilbert.
What is going on, South Texas Amateur Golf Tour? My name, MD. I am king of the lip outs. I am the social media person for the trail, for the tour, and occasionally I produce a podcast that really my mom and my dad watch. And then a couple of other people out there, which is really exciting for me. All of that being said, it is Wednesday. It is September 11th, and we have a really, really fun show tonight. We're going to get to talk about the Power Hour Greater Hill Country Divisional playoffs recap, talk a little bit about Saturday and Sunday. I was not there. I was out of town with a couple of ambassadors, visiting some of our friends out in Missouri, some of our tour travels friends. Shout out to the Sherman family for hosting. So I did not get to play at TPC, but there's a few people on the show tonight that were there that chose to play golf versus flying a kite. I heard it was a great day, both days, for such a fun event. So we're going to talk about the weekend. We're going to talk about how the playoffs went down. We've got two new members of the South Texas Match Play Challenge. One of them will be joining us tonight on the show, which is, we've been teasing getting him on the show, I feel like, for months. And the time is finally here. And Bob North will be joining us around 8 o'clock tonight to tell us about his Greater Hill Country experience, talk about the run that he was on for the Hill Country Division Series, talk about his playoff wins. I was talking to Travis this morning, and I told him, I was like, I had my golf in Missouri. We played every day. We had a tournament on Saturday and Sunday. We were off the course by about 1 o'clock both days. And I followed along pretty intensely to the golf that was being played back home in Texas. And shockingly, it did not disappoint. It was a lot of fun as someone just watching the scoreboards. So really, really excited to kind of hear Bob's experience of this new division, hear his experience of playing in the playoffs. And he is a first-time South Texas Match Play Challenge team member. It's so cool to have that first experience on the South Texas Match Play Challenge team. It's great every time, but that first time is always so special. And what a cool year to do it. One of the first two people ever to make it through the Greater Hill Country Division as a team member, as well as making a team for the first time, as well as playing at home, Riverside, against Houston Amateur Golf Association. It's going to be awesome. Super excited. Before we jump into all of that, before we start recapping, before we do everything else, let's go ahead and bring in the man with the plan, Travis Silkowski. Hi.
Good evening, MD. How are you, bud?
Man, I'm awake. I'm living the dream.
I'm awake as well. It is Wednesday, September 11th. Never forget. And here we are, live on the air, talking playoff recap. I just rolled in right now. We had open house at my daughter's middle school this evening. So some other family activities got in the way of pre-show warm-ups. So tonight's going to be pretty live. It's going to be pretty unscripted. It's going to be pretty raw.
We've got do our best work.
We got Bob North coming up here in about 20, 25 minutes. And we are prepared to ask him the difficult questions that our viewers want to know. And we want to talk
There's a brief, Bob.
We want to talk about the the South Texas Match Play Challenge is right around the corner. It felt so cool. There's some awesome pictures on Facebook from the first tee at the Oaks course for playoff round 2 of the Greater Hill Country Division this past Sunday. And it was really cool putting the South Texas Match Play Challenge trophy out there next to the first tee. It really made it feel like we were there to add team members. And I thought that was really, really cool. So it was the first time it kind of went on display today. And it was a big South Texas Match Play Challenge week. We added Bob North and Jeremy Jaramillo. Jeremy is his third team made. Both of his previous teams were travel teams. And so this is his first time playing in San Antonio on the team. That's Jeremy on the right. And that is Bob North right there on the left. That's Big Robert North there. And he'll join us in just a bit. MD, what else do we got going on tonight's show?
And it is all about TPC. It is about the playoffs. And obviously we can talk about it real quick before we do anything else. Greater Hill Country Division has come to an end. Playoffs, 2 new players. But that is just starting the crazy 7 weeks that we have left of playoffs. We still have Alt Shot at Northern Hills this Saturday. We have moved, if you read the newsletter that came out last night, we have moved the PC Open to Brackenridge, which is super exciting. So a lot of cool things to talk about.
Lots going on. You're right. It really is. It was an off weekend on the trail division last weekend while we were ramping up towards the Greater Hill Country Division playoffs. And it was the holiday weekend before that. So this has kind of been the summer break for the trail division. And
all 1 week of it.
Yes, you are. Well, two for
2
the
weeks.
Yeah, 2 for the trail division, right? Last played August 25th at Brackenridge Park.
That is correct.
Yeah, been 3 weeks, 2 weeks off in the middle.
We're going to see 4 rounds. We got 4 rounds of Brack. We got 2 rounds of and 3 rounds of Northern Hills.
Yes, that is. We've got Brack and Northern Hills the rest of the way.
The rest of the way until we get to Riverside.
Yes, it is. And I said this in a text message today, and it really kind of hit me like, oh wow. After Saturday, our final team event is this week Saturday at Northern Hills.
Yep.
The next time we play in teams on tour will be in the South Texas Match Play Challenge against Houston Amateur Golf Association on November 9th. And that was really cool to put in that text message. Just like, wow, it is right around the corner. Working actively this week with the Houston Amateur Golf Association on the schedule of events, and working with Javi and his team at San Pedro, who are taking care of the food and beverage for the South Texas Match Play Challenge. Those menu items are starting to come together, and those logistical bulletins are coming together, and working hard with our partner at Global Fairway Logistics, Danny Puckett, on South Texas Match Play Challenge marketing and media guides and tournament flair, and it really never stops. You know,
I mean, it feels like just yesterday we were jumping in the car to go scout High Meadow and get a round in, get a practice round in, get some B-roll, and start really diving into prep for the South Texas Match Play Challenge. Had a really successful run last year. We won in dramatic fashion, but this year's a little bit different. We're back home. We're in San Antonio. We're playing at Riverside for the first time, and to top that off, we have more players playing this year on the team than in previous years, which is really cool.
So that's the big thing that we'll start to talk about, right? Once the schedule of events comes out and the team gets rounded out and filled, we're going to really dive in to the analytics and the strategies behind adding 4 more players. The team expanded this year from 16 players to 20 players,
which is awesome.
I mean, it's so cool, and it was a unanimous vote across the Tours Executive Committee and the Houston Amateur Golf Association's Executive Committee. It was a unanimous vote to get as many people involved in this as we possibly could.
It's one of those things, like, everyone grinds so hard during the season to get their spot, to earn their spot. It's really cool to give the opportunity and provide an avenue for an additional 4 players who maybe have been on the cusp of making the team in previous years,
right?
Or who have never had that.
Right. New avenues like the Greater Hill Country division. I mean, this has never happened before, where we get to talk to Bob tonight about a whole new division, how he almost ran the table and made his first team on a brand new avenue. I mean, it's so cool. And as we get a little bit closer, we'll start talking about the captaining strategies and how do you try to get 3.5 more points, because the point total changed.
Yeah.
It's no longer 12.5 points to win. It's 15.5 points. So it's, how do you grind out an extra point on the first day, which we historically don't play well, even though we did this past year.
We were.
Yes.
We were
and it was such a cool place to be in. And normally we come from behind and we play singles really, really, really well. Yeah. And I spend most of my prepping time as a captain coaching and mentoring and teaching and instructing and scenarioing in a singles environment, just because there's double the points available, right? That's where I try to spend as much time as possible. And maybe that flip-flops a little bit, and it's like, let's try to do something where we can get an extra one, maybe sacrificing something else, and it changes the whole dynamic. So it's really, really cool, and we haven't talked about that a lot yet, and I think that's going to be a big topic.
And I think the other big piece of this is, I mean, let's just pull this up real quick. So Dennis Danowski on the team, I believe this is his first time appearance, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yes. Yep.
Dennis on the team for the first time, Bob North on the team for the first time. You've got David Falconer for the first time. And I mean, if we go based off of current top 10 standings, Gilbert, Harder, Evans obviously have been on the team before. Same thing with Roger Murray. But Kawamoto, Beavers, Clark, Mull, and there's some other names down past that have never been on the team before. Yeah. This could be a year where we see a majority of rookies. So the strategy of working with the people that have played before, have been on the team already, who have had success winning and kind of understand that environment, it's going to be a lot of stuff to be thinking about, especially when it comes time to create those pods. Yeah,
absolutely. And who is playing well with who, where, in what flight, who is trending up, who is trending down. And if we had to pick 2 more courses that were as close to Riverside as you could get, I like the way Northern and Brack set up to carry our team to Riverside. We've got Northern Hills, the last team event this weekend. Registration just closed, sold out, 100+ people, double points, going to be great event. And then we've got Brackenridge Park for 2 days. The PC Open, the final play event of the regular season, moved to Brackenridge Park. Registration still open. Going to be a great event. Brackenridge Park is in really good condition. Going to be an awesome competition host for the final major of the year. And then we go round 1 and round 2 of the playoffs back at Northern, and then championship weekend at Brackenridge Park. As
alternating rounds of courses. That's all we're doing. Northern Brack. That's all we're doing.
Yes.
and it's great. And I think, again, to your point, I mean, Northern has some really good green complexes that I think kind of mimic and have some similarities to what's going on at Riverside. It's a tough course to begin with. It's obviously a little bit longer, but still very strategic on ball placement. Brack is one of those courses that's shorter, similar to Riverside, kind of giving you some work on the wedges, and really in the short game where we're going to have to be precise, we're going to have to be making putts. Riverside is a place that you can go low and score. That is Brack. So it's a
personally,
really cool... I think Riverside's easier, but
I agree completely, and I think it's a good test leading up to let's go get Riverside, right? The way the last couple years on the team have looked, using Gin for that tournament, right? We bring a lot of single digits to the table this time of the year, right?
Yeah,
and Riverside's a course where that helps a little bit because you really can go, string a Jeremy Jaramillo together where there's 5 out of 7, or string a Bob North together where there's 3 out of 4 to start the back 9, something like that, and you can
get at the same time
at Riverside a little bit.
I think, I was kind of pulling up Bob's numbers. I was looking at Jeremy's numbers. I was looking at Willie and some of those other guys. Like, the one other thing that they do really well, that especially when we get into the South Texas, is these guys. I mean, it's Jaramillo can drop birdies all day long. Statistically, the average scratch golfer is making maybe 2 birdies a round. But where they're showing growth, or where they're beating out their competitions in pars, the pars are making the difference. And right now, I think we have a strong group of people that can go out and make pars at Riverside really consistently, and I think that that's a big piece of it too.
I think can you put that team graphic back up? Everybody just joining in, we are talking live about the South Texas Match Play Challenge coming up. Just under 2 months away, the Alamo City Golf Trail Division wrapping up its regular summer season in 2 weeks, 2 events to go. The team getting 2 new adds to it this past weekend from TPC San Antonio. Bob North winning the Greater Hill Country Division, and Jeremy Jaramillo coming in second in the Greater Hill Country Division playoffs. That's the 3rd team for Jeremy, and the 1st team for rookie Bob North, who's joining us here in about 10 minutes, I believe, maybe 15, but we're getting closer.
We definitely need to, I do want to recap a little bit of South Texas, of the TPC.
I do too. Yeah, for sure. But take a peek at the names on here. If we take David Falconer out of that equation, that whole first column is single-digit Gins. That whole first column, single-digit Gins.
Jaramillo is a plus.
Yeah,
he's got to be
single digits to plus.
3, yeah.
And let's pull up the top 10 from the summer season on the Trail Division. This is coming down the stretch. Let's take a peek at this. 1, 2, 3. Throw out Roger. Throw out Dale. And the rest of those, 8, 9 of the 11 names on there are single digits, or at worst 10. Right? So it is strong coming down the field, coming down the stretch. So you're right. Riverside being a little bit easier really, really favors us.
Yeah. And I think, again, those green complexes are so different, so unique. There's obviously some really, really tough pin positions that can be out there for a Sunday, even for a team on Saturday.
That back nine. That back nine's going to be quirky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think there is a significant advantage, more so than maybe we've ever had at any course, maybe other than Cedar, because it's so new, it's so unique, it's so different. I think it provides a really, really cool opportunity for us to have some. I think we can see some really stout numbers
to Cedar Creek, because that back nine, it's. You don't think about it when you're there, but it kind of is a little up, down, left, right.
Yep.
And
as soon as you get to 12, that's where it starts to move.
Yeah. Really, really good comparison. Really good.
So,
Let's go into Greater Hill Country Division playoffs, MD.
Let's talk about that. So going into the weekend, I think there was a clear favorite of someone who was already kind of leading in points, who's been having a very successful season. We'll call him Robert South to protect his identity.
Yeah, Jim South.
Jim South. Bob North obviously was a strong favorite rolling into the weekend. I mean, I think I'll be honest with you. I think I had a lot of fun golfing this week, or the previous week, but I honestly think I had more fun watching the golf genius and just watching Bob battle both days.
And it flip-flopped, and it went back and forth
kept
on the back nine.
Like, oh, Bobby bogeyed. And then Kolarchik goes and makes a double on top of that. And I'm like, oh my God, they're back to even. They're tied again. Shit. Like, I was losing my mind watching it, and I'm sitting there with Scotty Williams giving him an update every time a hole change, and it was so much fun.
Can we pull that?
Yeah, yeah.
That's so funny.
Bob North, and John's done.
I think that is great. Thank you so much. But yes, you're exactly right. Those scorecards were awesome to watch. It flip-flopped back and forth. And I really want to talk about how Bob North closed on Sunday and how it compared with Jason Barger closing, and that's where the one-shot difference came from, that last hole. And it came down to one shot, and it was a really cool weekend. TPC was such a good host. It was such a cool venue to play both courses, have that facility for the whole weekend. It was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not going to, I don't think there's any reason to go through both rounds. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I don't have it on the screen, but after round one, Bob North continued to hold on to his first place standing. Jaramillo started in 11th and jumped his way up to second place, and was right there next to Dustin Weldon, Danny Lee. You had a laundry list of names.
In championship flight on Sunday as well, Jeremy made an amazing two-putt.
Yep.
On 18, green on the Oaks, the 36th hole of the playoffs. And that two-putt kept him out of a scorecard playoff with Weldon and Evans. Yep. And that could have had playoff, make the team implications.
I mean, Dustin was really right there with them. That point difference, I think Weldon ended up finishing. Dustin Weldon finished with 645 points he had 573 and 3/4 of a point to 645 by Jeremy.
That looks like a lot on paper, but that's 2 spots.
Yeah, that's it.
That's 2 spots on the final day. That's it.
And I mean, and you can even split the difference there and say it's one of each day, because both days were pretty tight. So I mean, it really could have gone either way. You've got 2 guys in Jeremy and in Dustin that those dudes just make the putts. They make pressure putts when they need to. They're used to playing under that pressure. If Champ Flight golf isn't pressure enough, they both have multiple times been on the South Texas Match Play Challenge team, and the history of making big putts and big shots when it matters. 2 guys that you can absolutely trust can do that.
And those full results, we're not going to get into them too much because I really do want to get to Bob, right?
Yeah.
Bob North. I do want to get to Bob North.
Sorry, did you say Bob North?
I did.
Just confirming.
But I did want to highlight on the environmental conditions of the weekend. Because
I received a few videos. And
the Weather
holy
Channel
buckets.
said 17 miles an hour on Saturday and 13 miles an hour on Sunday.
Bullshit.
No way. No way. Maybe double it. 34 miles an hour sustained on Saturday. Gusts north of 45. And then easy 20 on Sunday, which felt like the most beautiful weather ever. We would have complained about how windy it was on Sunday if Saturday would never have happened.
I'm sitting here just kind of like looking at the first day, because I got videos. I texted Sean after his round and congratulated him, was saying good job there, and I got some videos of him doing some chips and some putts, and I'm looking at the wind and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, one, I'm really happy I'm not there playing in the wind. That would have been brutal. But then I'm also looking at like some of the players that were out there, and I'm like, how did they not get blown away?
I'll tell you
like,
what.
How did Morgan not get pulled into the air and swept away?
I'll tell you what. The tent took a beating on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even set it up.
The parasail?
I didn't even set it up. It took me 45 minutes to take it down by myself. It was crazy. I mean, we had it tied to trees and picnic tables. I mean, it was crazy.
We've played some windy days before. When you called me and we were talking about it, and you were saying it was 2022 Meadows, I'm like,
oh, there was a day on Tour Travels 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was,
not even,
and it was crazy. The ball was blowing on the greens. Now the greens were cut a little higher in anticipation of the wind. Like TPC pays attention to that stuff, right? But yes, you're right, Bob North. The wind was crazy. Is it drink double if we put his name on the screen?
I wonder.
Are there escalators in the drinking game? I don't know. But yes,
I want Bob to type his name into the comments so I can say Bob North said Bob North.
×2 escalator. Look at that. There we go. I love it.
Yep.
But yes, it was crazy. But what an experience. What an experience to come and really wrap up the Greater Hill Country Division at TPC. And it was... the comment section's great. Complete results available on the event results tab on the website, stxamtour.golf. Round 1, TPC Canyons leaderboard is there, and round 2, TPC Oaks course is there. And on that same page is the final Greater Hill Country Division point standings, which is what it was all about. MD, do we have that chart? Do we have that graphic?
Which one, I'm sorry?
The final Greater Hill Country Division points.
I do not.
Okay. Well, that is also on that same page. And that is essentially what the weekend boiled down to. It was what you were reading with those final point totals. And that gave us Bob North and Jeremy Jaramillo finishing 1-2 after the round on Sunday, qualifying for the 2024 South Texas Match Play Challenge Team.
And I mean, I tell you, it is really cool. Like I said, if you go look at the scores there at day one, a lot of close scores, a lot of good battles. Same thing in first flight. Man, I tell you, watching it hole by hole on Golf Genius made it so much more intense. Like, you can see some of these scores and be like, oh, okay, like someone maybe didn't do this or someone did, a big shot there or whatever. Like, no, it was a grind and tight to the end. You can't appreciate how much good golf and how much. I mean, can you imagine being in the groups, and they're all aware of what's going on. Like, they're out here fighting for their lives.
That's what it felt like.
Great.
It felt so stressful because of the wind. It felt like there was never an off second. It was just always tense. It was an awesome weekend.
Awesome weekend. And I think now's the perfect time. Let's go ahead and bring in first time South Texas Match Play Challenge team member, one of the first official winners of the Greater Hill Country Division. Someone who dominated the entire season. Excited to talk to him about it. Here he is, Mr. Bob North. Bob, what's going on, man?
How you guys doing? I'm well.
Bob North, thanks for joining us tonight.
I mean,
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Man, we are excited to have you here. And I mean, first and foremost, congratulations on the season. Absolutely tore up Greater Hill Country. Just fantastic playing. How are you? You've had a couple of days now to kind of come back down after all the excitement. How does it feel to be on the team and just get to enjoy the playoffs?
Yeah, you know, it was definitely a goal of mine this year to try to figure out a way to make this team, whether it was through the Hill Country Division or whether it was through the city tour. One way or another, that was a goal of mine. And really, you think about the Hill Country Division and the number of team events that we played in. I certainly didn't do it all by myself. I had a great partner, OJ, who really carried me through Kissing Tree. I was not having, at that time, playing Kissing Tree, I was not on my best. And he carried me through. We did a great job at Fort Sam. We really hammed and egged the entire 36 holes. And then at the Bandit was really a big turning point. We were on 18 and we knew we needed a birdie to win. And we were able to knock down a birdie on 18, which was a really big lift for us and really was a big lift for me because getting those first place points. So really, I'm not where I'm at. I'm not in this position without OJ's help. So I don't know if he's watching or not, but thanks, bro.
And I tell you what, making a birdie on 18 Bandit is not very easy.
No.
That was a tricky hole.
Yeah, and I got a great group of guys that I play with that, we're all very competitive. John Everhardis and Jeff Kolarczyk, those are my buddies that we play with. When we're not playing in Am Tour events on the weekends, I'm playing with those guys, and we're all about the same, and we're all really competitive, and we help each other out. And Jeff was rooting for me. John was rooting for me. If the situation was reversed, I would be rooting for them. So it's good to have a good group of guys like that to always play with and to keep, even if it's not a Am Tour event, we're still very competitive and we play a lot of golf together.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. If we look at your point standings across the 6 regular season events, it's win-win third, win-win second.
Yeah.
And then win-win at TPC. So, Bob North, let me be the first on air here to officially welcome you to your first South Texas Match Play Challenge Tour team. Congratulations and welcome, buddy.
Did my congratulations not count as a welcome?
It did, MD. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It was a congratulations. Mine was a welcome. Yours was a congratulations on the Hill Country. Mine was a welcome to the team.
Whatever, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm sure I mentioned the South Texas Match.
Okay.
Team, so.
Well, Bob, let me be the second to welcome you to the team. Congratulations. Walk us through the weekend. Saturday closes. You're on the top of the leaderboard. The lead has grown just a skosh. What's going through your mind Saturday evening into Sunday? How you were going to close? That's what we want to hear.
Yeah. So let's if we can talk Saturday a little bit because I think the conditions were much tougher on Saturday, even though the golf course wasn't as tough. But just the conditions as a whole on Saturday were really tough. And for me, I'm not the best golfer at times, and for me to pull out an 80 on that golf course in those conditions, for me was a really good score. That's kind of where I was targeting. I set a goal of hitting 10 fairways and hitting 10 greens. I think I hit 12 fairways and 9 greens and was able to get up.
It was a little longer. The tee boxes were a little longer.
Yep.
And we played, the tour set it up a tee box back. It was golds and blues. on Saturday and blues and greens on Sunday.
Yep.
And that sometimes those into the wind holes felt a lot.
Like was it 6, the par 5? It seemed like you needed, 3 really good shots to get
close
to the green. It really tough.
I think the wind. I mean, arguably, I think the wind has way more impact on Canyon side than it does on Oaks.
Yeah,
Oaks are a little bit more protected.
It was like exactly what Bob's talking about. 6, 7, 8, 9, kind of on that exposed ridge was just
8 was brutal.
Oh yeah.
And that par 3 with the pin in that back right position with the wind blowing was
there were
really hard hole.
Hole locations too, weren't they? Both days.
Yep. So Jeff was on my heels all day on Saturday. He was a group behind me, so I was certainly paying attention to what he was doing. And I think around 16 or 17, I started to open up a little bit more of a lead. I ended up making par at 18. And I think he made double, which ended the day with me beating him by 3. I thought it was really cool that me, John, and Jeff, again my golfing buddies, we took the podium per se with a 1, 2, 3 finish. So that was really cool for us to see that together. And then Saturday night we were all texting each other, and I think John sent me a stat that said, "Hey, in the Texas Open this year, the highest score was an 84. Would you take an 84 tonight?" And I said, absolutely. I would take an 84 tomorrow and just see what happens, right? And so I kind of had the same mindset. I wanted to kind of shoot, somewhere in the mid 80s. I know it's a tougher course, so my expectations were a little bit less. My goal was to hit 9 fairways and 9 greens.
A little comic relief, a little joking around, pretty loose.
Yep. And I didn't have a good game off the tee, but I was able to just kind of keep it together. I was, really not trying to watch the scoreboard, the leaderboard very much on the front 9. And then as we turned the back 9, I started paying a little bit more attention to it and just kind of seeing where I stood. And then as I, progressed along, going back and forth with Jason Barger, I was looking like, where does he, if he wins, like how many points am I ahead of him by? And if he wins and I come in second, am I still going to make the team?
Right, you start doing the what if math down.
You're a braver man than I am, because that would absolutely have taken me out of the round if I started doing that math in my head.
I think I had a 37-point lead over him, somewhere in that ballpark. And so if he got first and I got second, I would hit 35 points difference, I think is what it was.
You had the spot and a half.
So I still had the spot even if I finished second, but then it started getting bunched up. There was other people in there, and the last 5 holes, I made some really clutch putts for par. I made a clutch putt for a bogey on 15, and then I got to 18, and I had I think it was a 4-shot lead going into 18, and my goal on 18 was just don't hit it in the creek. Just really, if I could have replayed 18 again, I probably would have just hit 5-iron off the tee and 5-iron up the right fairway, and then like a wedge up the left side and pitched and made a bogey. But I hit driver and put it in some trouble, had to pitch out. I had a little bit of adrenaline because I didn't want to mess with the right side and have to pitch over for my 4th onto the green. I really wanted to take the creek out of play, so I hit an iron, and just was adrenaline kind of took over, and I hit it about 15 yards too long and put it in the left rough underneath that big tree. And so, here I'm sitting there in 4, and I'm like, okay, you're still fine. You still got 4 more shots to play with. It's okay. Just, get it somewhere up there and find a way to get it home in 8. And I could have got it home in 9, and I think I still would have won because I looked at the scorecard playoff and I had everybody beat on the 3rd hole. So I had a really good understanding of where I stood.
Tiebreaker on the scorecard playoff and a spot and a half on the standings. He had double tiebreaker in his advantage. Yeah. But you don't necessarily always know where that scorecard playoff falls. And I was just looking at that as well, Bob North. And it was a 4-wiggle. It would have been a 4-way scorecard playoff at 86.
Yes.
Which, in theory, could have been enough to leapfrog that
Yes.
spot and a half.
Yep.
So I mean, there was some drama down first flight. There was certainly drama in champ flight, coming down the stretch with Jeremy and Dustin and Sean Vidal started off so hot, and then the weekend got to him a little bit. Man, I was pulling for Sean a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But Jeremy just tuned in. I know Jeremy is watching. Congratulations, Jeremy Harmio. Let me be the first one to welcome you to the South Texas Match Play Challenge team live on the air alongside Bob North, who's joining us on this amazing September 11th. It's 8:12 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? MD, where's your kid?
I believe she is at Costco with mom and grandma, unless they went back to grandma's house.
Terrific. Bob, where are your kids at?
That's a very good question. They're not really kids anymore. They're young adults, so they're wherever they want to be.
Well, that's such a great answer. My 11-year-old's probably at the kitchen table drawing something.
I had to get Emma into the car when she was leaving, and she was pissed because she was looking forward to doing her early show high when she just sneaks on real quick. And I'm like, oh, Daddy's doing the show while you're gone. And she was like, not having it.
I have an interesting question for Bob North. If somebody asks you or declares it's the time and where are your children at, do you feel compelled to answer where your children are at? Or is it just like a rhetorical question?
It's a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was leaning towards after I was like, oh, this is where my kid's at. It kind of felt weird. We were talking about it.
Yeah, when they get to a certain age, you just stop worrying where they're at. Like you just feel like hopefully you did a good enough job, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, right. That's the ultimate trust factor. I did okay. They're going to be fine.
Yep.
God, it must be nice to have
Bob North,
parents that
tell
trust
us
you
a
like
little
that.
bit down the stretch. On the team, still playing competitive golf, playing this weekend at Northern Hills.
Yep.
How does the game change for you now in these last couple events? Do you keep the pedal down and say, I'm taking points from whoever I can? Or is it, I'm working on a specific part of the game going forward? Or tell us a little bit about the rest of the strategy here, knowing you've accomplished the primary goal of qualifying for the team.
Yeah, I don't know if I know how to take my foot off the pedal.
Oh, what a great answer.
I'm just too competitive to ever just take my foot off the pedal. Like I'm going to sweep the leg, you know.
Danny Puckett, if you are watching right now, we need a t-shirt with a silhouette of Bob North. Never take your foot off the pedal.
No.
After we win South Texas match play this year,
Everyone puts that
that's
on?
the opening.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
yeah,
good.
I just don't know how to do that. It's just not in my DNA.
Such a great answer.
I mean, there's not much left to say.
Who's your
How do you
partner with?
feel?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly shut down the conversation quick, though, right?
Sorry.
I mean, it absolutely ruined the conversation, but like the impact it made. Like I'm jazzed to go play some golf this weekend.
Yeah, like I'll probably go hit some balls Friday afternoon. Maybe even sneak out and play 9 holes late in the afternoon. You know, John's excited about playing this weekend. It's going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun tournament. Normally, we only play 6 holes of alternate or 9 holes of alternate, but they'll have all 18 to be modified alternate. That's going to be, it's going to test John and I's relationship, is what it's going to do.
That is exactly what
Absolutely, right? The mental fortitude, right?
Mm-hmm. So
what is a practice or what does a week leading up to the tournament look like for Bob? Like, are you at the range consistently, or do you prefer to go play during the week?
Yeah, so
So
I work out a couple times, and within one of my workouts, it's really more working on some core, some flexibility, a lot of hopefully golf strength, right? Just to kind of, I'm an older guy, so I gotta. It doesn't take, it takes me a couple minutes to get warmed up and get my body loose. So,
it's okay. I got the foam roller on the driving range.
Yeah.
So 2 hours.
Yeah. So there's got to be somewhere in my week, there's got to be some working out and getting in some good golf stretches and some good golf mobility in there. And then, there usually will be a day at the range, usually at night, where I'll go get a bucket. And then if we can get in around, sometimes if we got a Saturday tournament, if we get out there on Friday, see where you guys have marked pins, we'll look for that kind of stuff to kind of get an idea of where we need to be. But it's usually at least 1 or 2 days at the range. And if I can get in a practice round,
Awesome. As far as I haven't gotten to play with you yet. So what is your strongest part of your game that you feel like you have?
Good question, MD. I don't know if there is one particular strength I have.
I got one. I got a strength for Bob. He played the 5 hardest holes. The 5 hardest holes in relationship to par on the final day were 8, 9, 15, 18, and 4. And Bob North gained 2.25 strokes on the 5 hardest holes. And that's even with a, I don't necessarily want to call it an F up because you complimented yourself on your 8 before on 18, but that's even with the 8. Yeah. If you take out the 8, it's damn near 4 strokes gained on the field on the toughest 4 or 5 holes for the field. That is a solid skill, playing the tough holes well.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, and those are the holes that if it comes down to a scorecard playoff that you've got to do well. So I did, earlier this year, I did get a new putter. I think I have a lot more confidence in my putter. I got a lab putter. I think I had like a 20 something round streak where I had a birdie in there. There was a day out at in the spring event at Brack where I had 6 birdies. A couple other, and I didn't even win a skin that day.
I remember that.
So I've just, this putter is giving me a lot more confidence within my game. When I was struggling early in the season, my lovely wife got me some lessons for my birthday at Joe Caruso. Ooh. So he really kind of level set me in a couple lessons. So if I kind of fall back into some bad habits.
I love Joe Caruso.
He is so great.
I love a golf instructor that can look you dead nuts in the eyes and say, this is bad. Let's go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he worked on a couple of things with me. And so I just keep those things in the back of my head. If I kind of start getting a little wayward with it, go back to the things that he talked to me about. But, I think for the most part, I beat myself up a lot on the golf course and I try to quickly try to get rid of it. Think about Ted Lasso and be a goldfish, right? So just try to forget that last shot or that last hole and move on. And so I'll give you a perfect example. Like at Lost Pines, I started with an 8 on the first hole. I topped one off the tee right into the lake. I 3-putted. I'm fighting for a spot here, and I start with an 8.
Oh, and that's in front of Sean.
And that was with Sean.
That was with Sean.
Sean
was there.
Sean.
That was the day at Lost Pines. The flights kind of overlapped.
Yep.
And we got a chance. It was you, Sean, Hunter Patterson, and Rick Hoinsey.
Yep.
It was like 1, 2, 4, 7 in the point standings. It was so cool.
And so for the next 17 holes, I played like 2 over par, right? So I was able to get rid of it. I was able to move on from it. And even within that, there was still another double somewhere in that day, earlier in the round. Jeff had a big lead on me, but I just started chipping away at it. I just wouldn't give up on it. And so just, you have a bad hole, just move on and hopefully, you got more holes to play and you can make it up somewhere along the way.
Absolutely. I want to point out that John called you a grinder in the comments, and then Jared thinks it's the dating app.
Jared's not a golfer, so it's okay.
I think that's great. That's great. For those of you just joining us, it's 8:20 on September 11th. Never forget. And joining us live on the air to talk about his Greater Hill Country Division Championship play is Bob North. Bob North, again, thank you for joining us. MD, what else do we have for Sir Robert Norte before we let him go?
Yeah, that counts. Still counts. Take a drink.
Yep, I got it. Yep.
Like I kept sitting there for a second. I was like, he keeps taking drinks. I'm like, we keep saying his name. He's playing the game.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Didn't think he'd be doing it
I
during
knew
the
right
interview,
away.
so
It was
I'm
great.
super excited.
My favorite comment was tomorrow's gonna feel rough. I don't know who said it, but it was Jared again. It was Jared again. Right when we started and Bob came on, it was like, whoa, okay, cool.
Bob, first time making South Texas Match Play Challenge team. What are you most excited about? What are you most looking forward to about that experience?
Well, I've got a little bit of match play experience. We were a part of another tour before we joined you guys that did a lot of match play events. So really enjoyed those events. I'm looking forward to welcoming the other, 12 other guys that still need to make 14 other guys that need to make the spot. So 14, looking forward to welcoming them. I'm sure somewhere down the road, all of us will get together and play a little bit of golf together. So I'm just looking forward to just that team environment, talking strategy, getting out with the guys and just playing some golf and hopefully bringing San Antonio home another win.
Woo! It does come fast. There's a week off. The first weekend in October is off.
There are no weekends off.
The 11th and 12th and the 19th and 20th maybe are the rounds of the playoffs. And then there's 1 week off, which is darn near Halloween weekend. Mm-hmm. The first weekend of November, there's a team practice round. Then there is the second rendition of Live from the Driving Range. We'll do a podcast from San Pedro on a Tuesday night because we're at home.
This is the third. This will be the third.
This will be the third. We did it?
It'll be third.
This will be the third? I thought it was the second.
It is the third.
It is the third. Oh, my goodness. Live from the driving range. We'll do a podcast with the team. That's super fun. And then that Friday is the official team practice round. And the tournament's that Saturday, Sunday already. So it comes fast. It comes fast. And that official schedule's coming out in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, the newsletter after the PC Open, the official media guide will come out for the South Texas Match Play Challenge.
Travis, I did want to give you a compliment. I really like your hoodie.
Oh, this is the team hoodie this year, and it is absolutely rock star. It is alpaca quilt. It is amazing. I love it. The uniform this year, which I don't know if I got to talk to a ton of people about it. It just came in. Logos just got pressed on. It was amazing. And I actually wore the uniform this past weekend at TPC. I wore the Saturday outfit on Saturday and the Sunday outfit on Sunday. And I love it. Cream base, olive pants one day, deep navy pants another day. I just super, super fall-y. And it was a cool fall weekend.
I think, to be honest, Bob is making the team at maybe potentially one of the best outfit.
Can we pull in Stephen Evans' comment? This has to be referring to live on the driving range. I don't think we did it last year.
I feel like we did.
I just don't believe we did it last year. Stephen, thank you for jumping in.
Because not thank you for jumping in. There was easily a text. We just need to go air out shit.
I think it was fabulous to point out live on the air that I was correct for once. It doesn't happen a lot. Stephen, thank you so much. Wow.
Okay.
What were we talking about?
He just said F you.
Well, that puts me in a precarious pickle.
If I leave, he wins.
And MD believes we did it last year. MD is correct. Wow, Bob North, let me be the first person to welcome you for the second time to the South Texas Match Play Challenge team. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was awesome. Almost as awesome as your play this past weekend and on the Greater Hill Country Division as a whole. I look forward to seeing you this Saturday, Northern Hills. Everybody watching, the first notice to players for Northern Hills comes out tomorrow night. First tee time is 9 a.m. Saturday. Northern Hills is going to be awesome. We should see the tour setup committee start to stuff some hole locations. Maybe we'll see some preview of the playoffs down the stretch.
I have some fun ideas for Northern.
I don't know officially. Bob North, what else do you got to say to end? What do you want to do? Cheers it is.
Cheers. Perfect. And for everyone out there, if you just joined in, or if you were watching earlier, Bob North, South Texas Match Play Challenge team member, just because he made the team, he's still coming for all y'all's asses for the rest of the season.
I think that's so important to point out. Yep. I think that is so important to point out. Don't make the team and then take the rest of the year off. Keep the pedal down, Bob North. I love that. I love that.
It is. That's scary, and everyone should be a little bit scared. But here we go. Bob North, thank you for coming on. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Again, congratulations on making the South Texas Match Play Challenge team, dominating Greater Hill Country Division series this year. And we will obviously get you back on air with us as we are going through the process leading up to the South Texas Match Play Challenge. It's going to be awesome. Man, congrats.
Thanks, guys. And one last thing. You guys do a great job. We as players appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob North. Bob North, everybody, a force to be reckoned with on the 2024 South Texas Match Play Challenge team, and your winner of the 2024 inaugural season of the Greater Hill Country Division. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close the show with 2 words tonight. Bob North.
And I will say the rest of the words instead of naming Jim South live on air. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate everyone watching. We appreciate the participation in the chat. And, of course, we appreciate everybody coming out, playing golf, having a good time. This is what it's all about. Playoffs coming up. We got a lot more golf to play. It's going to be great. Everyone, have a great evening.
Woo. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.